I want to bring in CBS News reporter and producer Haley Ott. She's covering the conflict from Tel Aviv, Israel. Haley, thanks for joining us right now. Before we get into what's been going on, over the weekend and so on, tell us what's happening now. What's been the situation throughout the morning?
Well, it's been the same all morning. I'm here in Tel Aviv, where today actually it's been quiet. We haven't had any sirens here this morning, but there have been, sirens and rocket attacks over the past week, and people have had to take shelter. So the conflict is very much ongoing.
So let's talk about what's happening in Gaza, Haley. Those airstrikes happened along the Strip. The Israeli military says it destroyed about 9 miles of militant tunnels and homes of Hamas commanders. Describe for our viewers, because clearly, obviously, the image of your live shot in Tel Aviv is stark and different from what is happening there in Gaza. So explain to the folks at home who are watching this where those airstrikes happened and what effect they're having on the people who are caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm standing here. You can see Tel Aviv. It's sort of your average looking city. But Gaza, you have to remember, is one of the most populated areas in the world. And these airstrikes that we had overnight, sources are saying that they were some of the most devastating that we've seen so far in this round of violence. And the mayor in Gaza has said that the infrastructure there is really crumbling under the weight of these strikes. Apart from the tragic civilian casualties, which occurs when you have military strikes on an area as populated as somewhere like Gaza, also Gaza is under blockade. So they have limited supplies. And now the mayor is even saying, and the power company there is saying that they're running out of fuel to provide power to their citizens. They have 2 to 3 days left, is the report that we're hearing. And they're running out of supplies to repair things. An important doctor, one of the heads of a medical unit that was fighting coronavirus in Gaza, was killed in some of the recent strikes. So they're really having a devastating effect on the people who are living there.
Haley, President Biden addressed the fighting in his Eid address yesterday. Here's what he said.
We also believe Palestinians and Israelis equally deserve to live in safety and security and enjoy equal measure of freedom, prosperity, and democracy. And my administration is going to continue to engage Palestinians and Israelis and other regional partners to work towards sustained calm.
So, Haley, what conversations has President Biden, or describe the conversations President Biden has had with Israeli leaders, and has he spoken to the Palestinian Authority, who understandably is not necessarily in control of what is happening there in Gaza?
So President Biden has spoken with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu and the president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, who, as you know, it's Hamas who is in control in Gaza. To Netanyahu, he reaffirmed American support for Israel's right to defend itself. And he stressed also that Jerusalem should be a place of peace and coexistence for all people. His call to Mahmoud Abbas was similar. He stressed a desire for an end to civilian casualties, but he said that he called on Hamas to stop rocket attacks being fired out of Gaza. And he also stressed that Jerusalem should be a place of coexistence and peace.
So we saw in Imtiaz's piece that Israel's prime minister is defending the attack on the building, and that was home to several media outlets. He says that the military gave them enough warning to get out safely. What are you hearing from journalists who actually worked there?
We're hearing that they were scrambling to get out their kit, that they were scrambling to get out of this big building where really very important important sort of infrastructure was housed for reporting on the situation in Gaza. Imtiaz mentioned in his piece just how difficult it is to tell the story of what's happening in Gaza, and how these television stations and Al Jazeera, the Associated Press, basically were some of our only ways of glimpsing in at the crisis there. And now that that's gone, it's very concerning.
So, as we saw in Imtiaz's piece on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, well, he had in his piece that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he gave the U.S. the intelligence backing up his claim. CBS News asked U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken about this a short time ago. Here's what he had to say.
I've not seen any information provided, and again, to the extent that it is based on intelligence, that would have been shared with other colleagues, and I'll leave that to them to assess.
So, Haley, here's the question. I spent some time, long-term assignments in Israel covering the conflict between the Palestinians and Israelis. One of the things that sometimes occurred in the heat of the moment is that there would be flashbangs that would land at our feet as we were reporting on some Palestinian activity in the West Bank. And then afterwards you would talk to the military and they'd say, sorry, you're in close proximity to people who are throwing rocks at us, to people who are trying to hurt us, and so, that's why we got a little aggressive. We're sorry. But in this case, we haven't really had any intelligence, or at least the Israeli government has not shared any intelligence that they say that they have, because you've heard, obviously, from the AP and the other media organizations that, as far as they know, that there were not any terrorists or any terrorist activities in the buildings. But of course, that would be hard for them to know. I'm just trying to figure out what the Israelis are sharing with the media now.
There really hasn't been very much here either. There were reports that possibly the IDF would be putting out a statement or sharing something soon, but we haven't seen that yet. So really, we're waiting. We're waiting to see what they say.
All right, Haley Ott on the ground for us in Tel Aviv. Haley, thank you very much for your reporting. We appreciate it.